Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this live Ask Me Any Stock session, guys. I think some of you have already joined us and you're early. Thank you so much, guys, for being early. We can see some of your comments already. If you guys can see and hear me and see my screen as well, or screen, just type of one, guys, or type GM for good morning. Let me just acknowledge all of you for just being early today. Just type GM for good morning. Let's see. Hi, we have John over here joining us. Hi, Sing. Every single time you're joining us every Friday. Thank you so much for the support. All right, so let's just see who is here today. We have Choy as well, Colleen. Hi, Alex. Hi, Victor. All right. Hi, HK Singtel, whether to sell or not. All right, Victor as well. Good morning. Good morning, Styler. I think we have seen you many times. Good morning to you as well. All right, awesome. So this is working, guys. Welcome to our Ask Me Any Stock session, AMAS session. And today we'll be talking about the Singapore market. Good morning as well. All right, right over here, Zainuni. All right, George. Good morning. All right. So in this very Ask Me Any Stock session, guys, if you've been joining us for a while now, all right, essentially what we do is that we'll do a quick market outlook. All right, what has been happening in the markets for the US, maybe the S&P 500 index, maybe even the STI. I mean, this is the Singapore market. Look at the Straits Times Index. And of course, later we will dive into the stocks that you guys want covered, that you guys want a quick opinion on. So that's where, me, my team, Bervyn and Zee, will go through, your stocks from my want good trend strategy and how we have a 1GT Pro. All right, this indicator that I have that I developed called the 1GT Pro indicator to give you a quick opinion, right? Whether should you be buying, should you be selling, should you be waiting, should you be doing nothing? That's exactly what we'll do for your stocks. And at the end of today's live session as well, right? What happens is that we will go ahead to share three. So each of us, right? There's three of us over here. So we'll total share three Singapore stocks that you might want to put in your watch list for potentially more upside. All right, so that's what will happen today. All right, so would it be okay if you guys help me to just like and share? Make sure you hit the share button, guys, or if you have not yet set your notification, go ahead to hit the bell icon at the top so that when we go live in the future, you will be notified as well. So if you like and share, guys, that will really help out the channel. Show some love as well. I think there's some heart-shaped love icon. All right, can go to give me some love heart so that we do our best to give you guys more value in today's call as well. All right, so thank you so much. Thanks for liking and sharing as well. All right, we know who you are. All right, okay, so let's get started right now. And for those of you who are joining us, well, welcome to this live show called Ask Me Any Stock. We're getting started, so I want to do a quick coverage and share with you guys on my team as well, and maybe even myself, right, in case you've never met me before. My name is Joey Choy, top tier advisor, trader in Phillip Securities. I've been doing this for more than a decade. All right, also run training as well, webinars to share a little bit on my one good trend strategy. And yeah, one of the top brokers in Phillip Securities as well, right? And we also assist our team, right, in terms of fund management business as well. So I've with me over here, Bervyn, right? Bervyn, who has been with me, one of the top brokers in Phillip Securities under me, more than 4 to 5 years now, and also running our group coaching sessions, our one-on-one coaching with our mentees and all that, assisting our portfolio manager as well with our 7-figure managed account. All right, and Bervyn is also what we call a chartered financial analyst, CFA, right? So those of you who are in the banking and finance industry, one of the highest qualification one can ever get in this industry, right? So let me just pass on the mic to Bervyn just to share a little bit on today.
Hey everyone! Thanks, Joey, for the introduction. Welcome back. I think last week we didn't have a AMAS section because it was a public holiday. But welcome back, everyone. I think the market has shown a little bit of volatility over the last few weeks. I think there's plenty of opportunities that's coming up. Some people are actually looking to buy on the dip. Some people are actually looking to sell on the new rebound as well. So I think today will be a very, very fruitful session, especially if you've been holding throughout the last few weeks. I think you realize that maybe some of you are sitting on some gains, or some of you are sitting on those counters that you are thinking of whether to sell, to buy. I think today maybe you will get a little bit of insight on that as well. So I think without further ado, I think we should pass the mic back to Joey, I think, to continue on to today's session as well. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Bervyn. Right, so Bervyn will go ahead to later share with you guys his opinion on the stocks that you guys want as well. And of course, at the end, he'll share with you guys one bonus stock that you might want to put in your watch list, right? So let me go to introduce another of my team member, all right, Zee, who has been with me for more than 4 to 5 years now. Also a top broker in Philip Securities under me, and conducting our group coaching sessions, our one-on-one, also assisting our portfolios manager with the fund management account as well, the managed account as well, right? So Zee is also what we call a CMT, Chartered Market Technician, right? So anything to do with technical analysis or charting or chart pattern, candlestick, anything, right? Zee is the go-to expert, one of the highest qualification one can ever get in this particular charting industry, all right? So let me pass on the mic to Zee to just share a little bit on herself.
All right, thanks, Joey. Hi, everybody. My name is Zee. Good to see many familiar names back again today. But basically what Joey shared, CMT in short, basically what he's trying to say is that I just look at chart a lot lah. I spend way too much time looking at chart lah, okay? And but basically what, if you have been joining us for the past few sessions, I think you will probably realize that, you know, what we do here is really to try to break things down into something very simple, right? And engaging, especially, you know, with the 1GT Pro indicator, which you'll see later on, whereby it can give you a quick opinion in a matter of seconds, right? Just by clicking a button, right? So breaking something very complex down into something simple, which will probably help you, you know, when you're actually analyzing your stock. So that is something what we are trying to do here and trying to add value to you guys. So that's pretty much what we are hoping to deliver to you guys today. And I'll pass the time back over to Joey to actually kickstart today's session.
All right, thank you so much, Zee, for the great introduction. Let me go to get started today, right? So just a quick disclaimer, guys, as we always do, all right? Whatever that's being shared today in this live, session, AMAS session, is just for education purpose only, all right? So please do your own due diligence, all right? It's really not to ask you to buy or sell anything or any stocks, or maybe not to buy or not to sell, right? So please do a little bit of homework as well. We're just sharing our opinion, all right? For education purpose only. Okay, so let me get started right now, and maybe let's talk about the market. Let's talk about the market. I think that is what a lot of you. How many of you want me to cover the market? Just type M for markets, guys. If you want me to cover the markets, just to give you a quick rundown of what has happened, I would say over the past, few weeks, past 1 month. Just type M for market. Let me know. Type M for market if you want me to go through the markets. So M. Thank you so much, John, Alex, M, all right, Elvin, M as well. So I think we have to go through the market just to give you guys a quick run through, what's happened and my take on the market going forward in the next few weeks as well. So let's talk about the S&P 500 index right now. So S&P 500 index, you see we are at about 5,484. So not too bad, right? Over the past 2 days, we saw a pretty good rebound, all right? I mean, okay, let's talk about the sell down. Right? You can see previously in March, okay, so this is the 1GT Pro indicator. So you can see I've turned it on, and that's the reason why you can see some bullish green signals and even bearish red signals on the chart, right? So this is what most people look at, right? You can see this is the prices on the chart. We have the moving averages. We have the red line, which is the 100 days moving average, and the blue line, which is the 200 days moving average, right? And the green line is the 20 days moving average that give an idea on the short-term trend. So you can see right now, well, this green line obviously is still pointing down. I mean, it's not really like pointing up, right? It's still pointing down. So we are not completely out of the woods yet. I mean, there's some bargain hunting coming back, all right? Prices or, people are starting to get in to nibble a little bit on any good news that comes in terms of Trump saying that, you want to probably give China some chance, right? So what happens is that, a couple of weeks back, 2 weeks back, 3 weeks back, he has imposed reciprocal tariffs on a dozen of countries, right? And he put a 90 days pause on these tariffs on a lot of countries, but for China, he hiked it up all the way from 20% to 54 to 80. Now it's 145%. All right. And he mentioned that he's not going to give way, he's not going to negotiate and all that, right? China obviously retaliated. And now the tariffs on US goods coming into China is at 125% as well, right? So over the past few days, now Trump is saying that now, tariffs probably wouldn't be that high. All right. It will come down for sure, but not 0%. It will come down for sure. And that kind of sparked off a little bit of momentum, right? Because initially 2 weeks back, he's saying that he don't want to negotiate, right? He wanted to be very aggressive, and he's sticking with, a very high tariffs on China, all right? So now he's kind of giving a little bit. Of course, he mentioned that there'll be some ongoing talks and all that. But yesterday, the China ministry came back and said there's no talks planned or anything like that. Right, so it's up and down, right? Very volatile, but that has been pretty much the news as to why we have seen a bit of strength coming back in the markets. All right, so short-term trend is down for now, just by looking at the green 20 days moving average. And if you look at what we call the longer term trend, well, this reds and blue line gives us an indication of the longer term trend. So right now you can see that the red, I mean, over the past 1-2 years, look at the red and the blue line. They've been both pointing up, red above the blue. So longer term trend has pretty much been up. Very strong long-term uptrend since 2023, right over here, you can see, right? I mentioned in my previous live call, you can see that the red went above the blue, both started to point up. So long-term trend has been up, not just last year, since March 2023, about more than 2 years. It has been in a very strong longer-term uptrend. Of course, in the short term, came down a little bit, but long-term is up. But now you can see that this red line, it is maybe about to cross below the blue line, all right? So of course, it's a longer term trend, so it takes a while to get to play out, all right? So, just want to be a bit more careful. We're not out of the woods yet. If the next few weeks, maybe next 1 or 2 months, we see prices going lower for the S&P 500 index, maybe going to 5,000, maybe breaking 5,000, well, then we may even see red going below the blue, something like this, right? It could be something like this, right? So down. So this could be like a red line, and maybe even the blue line could be something like this as well. All right, so that could be where if this happens, this is what I'm thinking, right? But it might not happen, right? But if this happens, whereby we start to push lower, we break certain support levels, and we see the 100 days moving average crossing down below the 200 days moving average blue line, well, then I would say that the longer term trend may actually start to turn down. All right, so not a good thing if that happens. Okay, so this is what, hopefully not, it will not be like that. I mean, hopefully it will just be, maybe just flattening out, like for now, it might just flatten out a little bit. So it could be 100 days moving average flattening out. The blue line also maybe just starting to flatten out a little bit. Well, that would mean that we are back from a uptrend to a sideways trend, which is still okay. But if both start to slope down, then not so good. All right, so that would be the S&P 500 index. And as I say, right, I can quickly turn on based on this one good trend pro indicator that I have and get an opinion on any stocks, any asset classes, and even on the market. All right, so you can see right over here, let me just turn it on, pump. There we go. So you can see, right, over the past 2 months, right, not just last week or last week, when the tariffs was announced, right, the reciprocal tariffs was announced. Since, I would say, like February, we have not one, but we have 2 bearish signals, all right, that triggered, and you can see we started to push lower and lower. Even the green 20 days moving average line started to point down as another confirmation. So still weak, right? Still weak. And if I can quickly turn on what we call the trailing resistance level to give you an understanding, you can see, right? So all this while, over the past 2-3 months, as we headed lower, the trailing resistance kind of like follow the market as we headed lower, right? It's down, flat. And right now we are still below this trailing resistance, which is at about 5,550. All right, 5,550. I think that would be a very key level. If we can see maybe a very good bullish price action, kind of like a very firm move for the entire market above 5,550 or maybe above 5,600. Well, then that could be kind of like perhaps a more meaningful signal of a reversal, all right, that could potentially start to happen. But if we stay below this 5,550 or even 5,600, well, we are not completely out of the woods yet. It's still too early. To call for a very massive firm reversal back up, right? Because, as I say, right, this whole, pause, 90 days pause in a tariff. It's not a cancellation, it's a pause, right? It's a pause because anything can change, right? It could be 90 days to maybe 60 days or 30 days. Donald Trump might come out and say something else, right? And then it might, push up and down again, right? But it's just a pause. So I would say that the market has still not completely factored this in yet as what will happen in about 90 days, all right? Just like, what has happened when he introduced the tariff about 2 or 3 weeks back, right? So initially in like February as well, there was like, he introduced tariff, he paused it, and introduced it in April, early of April, and that's where markets really started to sell off. So let's see. I think in July, 8 or 9 of July, that'll be where the 90 days pause actually end. We see what actually happens then. All right, so that is the S&P 500 index. Let me take a look at maybe the STI STI, the Straits Times Index, and let's see what it says right now. So you can see STI has been pretty resilient, Let me just go to turn off the trailing support and resistance, so it's a bit clearer. All right, so you see, right, longer term trend has been up for STI, and in fact, we have a couple of bullish signals for the entire market. Look at this, right? Bullish signal, all the way up. A bearish signal came down. Another bullish signal. There we go, all the way up. Another bullish signal in February went all the way up. But of course, when the market sold off on the 4th or 5th of April, right? 7th April, a bearish signal actually came out, and down we go, right? But it seems like we have already got a bullish signal coming out just last week, right? In fact, last Thursday, we got a bullish signal coming out, and we started to push a little bit higher. So for STI, a little bit different, right? Because, you know, of course, we got hit as a tariff as well, right? 10%, I mean, not as high as China. So, but the market started to react a little bit differently, and you know, we have been starting to see strength in the banks as well, starting to see a bit of a rebound. Some of the good blue chip stocks as well started to rebound. So I think the market has recovered quite strongly for STI compared to the US, which is still, you know, ongoing and still ongoing trade tensions between the US and China. So I think they're not entirely out of the woods, but for Singapore, slightly more defensive for now. All right, and we're starting to see a bit of strength. All right, so right now STI is about 3,830. Not too bad. I think we can draw this support level, maybe coming back right here. Okay, let me just go to remove all the lines. I would say for the entire STI, we would see some pretty good support coming in right now at about the 3,700 to maybe 3,800 level, all the way to this very critical level, the 4,000. The 4,000 would be a very key psychological resistance for the entire STI, the Singapore Straits Times Index. If we trade, you know, near it, I think that's where some selling pressure can come back again, like what we've seen over here. All right, near here, came down. So it'll be, you know, hit to near 4,000 or 3,009 again. I think that's where some selling can also come back in the market. But I would say STI overall, not too bad. All right, the Singapore market has been pretty resilient. Of course, now we are going into the general election as well. All right, I think next weekend, all of us have to go and vote, right? So that might create a little bit of volatility in the market as well. But I think so far we've been doing pretty okay. All right, so that is for the Straits Times Index. All right, so let me go ahead right now to cover the next section of today's AMAS session. All right, and that would be to cover the stocks that you guys want a quick opinion on. So very simple, guys. Just type in the chat the Singapore stocks that you want a quick opinion on, and I'll go to take a look at it. And what happens is, right, me and Bervyn and then Zee will do it right round robin style. I'll pass on the mic to Bervyn and then Zee, and then we just go on to cover all the stocks that you guys want a quick opinion. So when you type the name of the stocks in the chat, right, just do us a favor, right, go ahead, guys, to let us know a little bit on the stock, like a bit of context, like, you know, are you looking to buy the stock? Maybe you bought it last month, last year, I don't know, right? Are you looking to sell it, take some profit, so that it's not just a stock name, all right? And we get a bit of a context. I think we'll give a bit more priority for those of you who spend a bit of effort typing the context out rather than just one Yang Zhejiang. What about Yang Zhejiang do you want to know about, right? So type a little bit of context, all right, so that we know a little bit better and we can better, you know, give an opinion based on the context that you have provided. All right, so let me just go through all the stocks before I cover the first stock of today. All right, let me just go to see what would be good. Let me see, right? So we have, okay, KB Tan, we have Geo Energy, please. Okay, let me just go to cover Geo Energy. I mean, let's just try the stock first one. Geo Energy. There we go. Geo Energy Resources, and there we go. So let's take a look at Geo Energy. All right, one of the energy plays listed in the Singapore market. So this is Geo Energy, right? And okay, let me just go to turn off what we call the bullish and bearish signal. So as I say, guys, you know, in this entire AMAS session, right, it's really not to share with you guys the entire strategy of the entire framework. So I have this one good trend strategy that I've been using for more than a decade. Bervyn and Zee are equally well versed in it as well. All right, and we'll go through your stocks based on this strategy. But if you want to find out, you know, in terms of the entire framework, right, how it works, what's the backbone of it, step by step, then what you want to do is to attend one of those free webinars, that I'll be doing in a couple of weeks' time. Maybe you can just place the link in the chat as well, my team. All right, and just click on the link, register for a free webinar, and this way I'll show you guys a little bit more about the entire strategy. So today, don't have time. It's pretty much just to go through the stocks very quickly. All right, so this is what we call Geo Energy, all right. Energizer mood currently holding. If need to add more, still a good time, all right. So let me looking to buy some, right? Is it a good thing, a good stock to buy? So let's take a look. So now Geo Energy is at about 0.355. Let's take a look at in terms of the trend, right? So I would say that for Geo Energy, over the past 1-2 months, we have started to see a bit of strength in terms of the trend turning back up. So the red line and the blue line, you can see, right? The red and the blue. Well, it has started to point up and the red has gone back above the blue. So longer term trend has just started, all right, to look a little bit more bullish, I would say, all right, with the red going above the blue, all right. In terms of the short term trend, well, it was like the green line was like up and then down. The market sold off last week, right? But then started to point up again over the past week. So not too bad. It seems like the longer term trend is up and the short term trend is up as well. And if I can draw this resistance line right over here, there's somewhere around that, maybe 0.34, where you see, right? That was where we sold off previously. All right, even the past 2 months back or 1 month ago in March came down, but not too bad over the past 1 week, few days, right? It seems like we have attempted to break above that 0.34 resistance level. All right, so I think pretty good. Let me go ahead to turn on what we call the 1GT Pro indicator to see what it says, right? So very quickly, let's turn it on. So any stocks, any asset classes, right? You can just turn it on and see whether to buy or sell, right? Based on the bullish or bearish signals. Let me just turn it on. And you can see, right? Well, a couple of bullish signals went up, and let's see. I would say that over the past week, well, we have a bullish signal coming out on the 17th of April, just last Thursday, and yeah, in fact, we've gone up a little bit, right? Just a little bit. So I think not too bad. A recent bullish signal. The short-term trend is up. Let's see potentially where we can head to before some selling can actually come back, right? So I think for Energizer Mood, you're saying that you're currently holding. You need to add more. Is it still a good time? Well, I would say it may look pretty bullish still if you can hold above this support. Let's just say support wise would be about 0.34. That would be a near term horizontal support level. Targets could be all the way maybe to that 42 to 0.425. Why? But that was where we were somewhere in February. In fact, more than a year back, we're right over here. And that is potentially where we may head to before some profit taking actually comes back, or maybe when we see like a bearish signal coming out. So right now, yeah, we got a recent bullish signal coming out last week, triggered, pushing up. We're still holding quite well above that 0.32 support. So I think we can hold above 30 cents or maybe 32 or 34. Great upside potential still there, right? Targets could be from above 30 cents or above 34, 32, all the way up to that 40 to 42 cents. So that could become like the upside if, right, we do hold above that 3.4 to maybe 3.2 support level. All right, so that will be the first stop for today, Geo Energy Resource, right? Let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover his stock. Bervyn, all yours.
Thanks, Joey. All right, so okay, I think the next stock, I think we got right here. I think just now I saw Jim was asking about OCBC. He has been holding it since COVID. Average price under 950. Wow, not too bad. Holding around 4,000 shares. I think some of you are also holding this OCBC or other bank stocks. So just let me cover OCBC first. Right here on my screen, we have OCBC. I think today we actually saw prices deep below that $16, $16.50 support. Why? It's because actually today is actually the ex-date for the dividends. I think they're giving about 57 cents. Yeah, that's right, 57 cents worth of dividends. This if you're holding up to today, this is what you will receive as well. Yep, so that's not too bad. I think it's very, very normal for prices to actually fall by the dividend amount, or roughly the dividend amount on the dividend ex-date. So nothing to call for caution as well. Still not too bad, but what we are seeing is the 100 days and 200 days moving average actually just moving a little bit sideways already, especially for the 100 days moving average, and for that 20 days moving average, it is still sloping down. But are prices going to rebound from that 200 days moving average where we are currently at? Seeing a little bit of our buyers actually coming back in as prices dip towards that $15 psychological support. But we are also able, or we had previously also rebounded from that 14.50 level during that sell down. But right now I'll put my support right around that $15 level. So if you are able to set some alerts perhaps slightly above that $15 level, I think this is a good level where potentially you can accumulate on those dips as well. So let me just quickly turn on that trailing support and resistance. you could see that. Let me just clear this up for you first. Okay, you can see that that trailing support is right around that $15 level that we have drawn just now. So this is apparently a very, very good support at this point, still holding up where previously we have rebounded from as well before we headed to a new high. So I think two key levels for me to watch out for right now would be that $15 level. If prices approach that level, could be an opportunity to accumulate. We do not want prices to break below that trailing support, because we give that stock a little bit of a room to breathe with that trailing support, and if it's broken, then of course not really too good already lah. Yeah, so that's like as of previously, it was around that 1670 level, it broke down. That's when we had that trailing resistance come in. So prices have previously broken above that trailing resistance again on the 17th of April. So if I were to turn on that 1 GT buy or sell signal, we could see this right here, where we have that 1 GT bullish signal that actually came in and prices pushed above that $16 level. So I think two key strategies would be, one, to look out for that $15 level. If prices fall towards that level, could be an opportunity to accumulate a little bit. Or if you have a little bit of a more aggressive stance, Jim, you could also consider to accumulate a little bit more on that breakout above that $16 level once again. So profit taking wise, I think if you have been holding on since COVID, you have been also definitely been receiving those dividends as well. So I think this should be potentially a longer term holding for you, since it's you have been holding it since COVID. So potentially you could continue to hold, but just watch out for those key levels. Watch out for those 1 GT bearish signals and 1 GT bullish signals, where you potentially could accumulate more of these holdings as well. So if this $16 level gives way, I think potentially that upside towards that key $18 resistance could come back, where I think, if then you wish to take some profits, take some money off the table, I think that would not be a bad plan as well, because if prices follow its history or follow its previous price pattern, we may see sellers come back during that level and potentially hit back towards that $16 level, where you could get back in again, just making that a little bit of a profit with the in between or the little bit of range trading as well. All right, so that's just a very quick one for OCBC. Maybe I pass the time now to Z to cover the next stock for you.
All right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, let me just share my screen very
Maybe I can
quickly.
just add on a little bit. I saw one question, all right, about OCBC by John as well, right? John, I think you're saying that OCBC X date is 25th April today, all right? Maybe you want to add on this, like maybe answer the question or...
Okay, so I think, John, that's a very, very good question. If today is OCBC's X date, 25th April, if you bought today, will you receive the dividends? No. But however, if you bought yesterday, the day before, last week, 1 year ago, since COVID, and held up to today. So the keyword is you got to hold up to today, buy before and hold up today. You will receive the dividend. So you will receive that 57 cents dividend on the pay date, not today. You will not receive in your account today. You will receive only on the pay date. So just take note, it applies for any share that you are holding, not just OCBC. Or apply for DBS. If you're holding SGX, no matter what share, just follow that on the X date. You have to be holding the share, but you have to have bought the share before the X date.
Correct.
All right. So I think,
very good. And also, if you sell today, so if you bought like yesterday or last week or last month, right? No problem. And today is the X dividend date, right? 25th April. Is the X dividend date or any stock, right? If you sell on the X date, whereby the price has adjusted downwards due to the X dividend date, right? So even if you sell on the X date, right, will you get the dividend? Yes.
yes.
Answer is yes, you will still get the dividend, because the price has adjusted downwards. And even if you sell today, you will still get the dividend on the payment date, the payable date. All right, so that applies for any single stock. All right, Ken. So just wanted to cover this question because I just saw it popped up. Go ahead, Z. Maybe you can cover the next Singapore stock.
All right, sure. Thanks. Okay, let me just share my screen very quickly over here. Okay, so the next stock, right, that I'll be sharing about will be this counter called Propnex, because I saw William actually posting a lot of counters. Whether is it good to hold? I'll just cover Propnex for now, because I saw someone else also asking, Clement, right? Clement is actually also asking about Propnex, right? Any 1GT to buy. So let's take a look at this counter, right? So since 2024 to last year to 2025, right, the past year it hasn't really been like performing well in terms of this stock, because we see that the moving averages have kind of like just been going sideways, and we have a few 1GT bearish signal coming out right over here, right? But somewhere in September to this the last quarter of 2024, this is actually where we saw some price action coming back into this counter, right, giving it some life, right? Because this is where we also start to see 1GT bullish signal coming out. That's number one, right? The first one came out right over here, right, on 19th of September. But then subsequently, we get more confirmation from where? From the moving averages, right? This is where we also start to see the 20 days moving averages, the green line, start to point up. And it actually also break above the longer term moving average, right? And I mean, of course, down the road, at the start of 2025, somewhere in January, this is where we also start to see the longer term, right? The longer term trend also provide more confirmation, whereby the red line crosses above the blue line, right? The 100 days cross above the 200 days. And at this point in time, the green line, don't need to say, like, it has already been pointing out, right, since like November, right? So from then, from our very first 1GT bullish signal coming up to where we had the 1GT bearish exit signal, that's about like almost a 30% increase in price, right? So at this point in time, right now, today, let's take a look at what's happening. Okay, so as you can see over here, today we saw that price actually get down, and currently we are seeing a red bearish candlestick. Why? Because right over here, like what Joey and Bervyn has mentioned earlier on just now, it is regarding the dividends, because today is the X date, right? And the amount is about 0.55 cents, and price has adjusted, so that's why there is actually a gap down. So like what Joey and Bervyn have explained earlier, if let's say you were to hold on to the stock and you were to sell today, you will still get the dividends. But remember that the dividend payable date, right, is the payment date, which is 8th of May, not today, not today, it's 8th of May. Okay, so in terms of the technicals, let's take a look at the support and resistance, right? So now we have established the trend, right? We look at, the longer term trend, both red and the blue is actually still heading up. But if we look at the shorter term trend, let me just zoom in. So the green line right over here, it is actually pointing down, right? It's actually pointing out. So it actually means that there's some short-term weakness for this counter. Plus, we actually do see a 1GT bearish signal right over here on 7th of April. And at this point in time, is that a 1GT bullish signal? Not yet, right? Not yet. But what do we know about the support? We know that the support, right, there will be one very crucial support level at this $1. Why? Because $1 is actually a psychological support level right over here, right? As we can see, price previously, kept below this level for so long, right? Eventually broke above it right over here somewhere in January. Sellers came back in, pushed price back down, but retested this $1, and this $1 is actually still holding. So I would say $1 is a very key psychological support level that you might want to take note of, right? Because I mean, today, of course, price get down, but I'm not too sure over the next few days, few weeks, whether price can still hold above this $1, right? So perhaps maybe you might want to consider set some price alert above this $1, right, or below this $1 to see if price can actually hold, or will it break below this $1? Because if it does break below this $1, then potentially you might see more weakness returning to this counter, especially so when the short-term trend is actually still pointing down, right? So this $1 level, I would say, is one of the very crucial support levels to take note, right? So for those maybe for William, right, I think William, probably you probably already bought the stock now, because you're asking about whether is it still good to hold, right? Good to hold. So meaning you're holding on to the stock, you're thinking whether is it still good to hold, and perhaps this is where you might want to look towards the resistance, right? Because towards the resistance, that's where we want to consider to think about, taking some profits, selling some positions, right? So where can that potentially be, right? So one of the levels that maybe you want to take note of, if you're thinking of selling, thinking of taking profits, will be somewhere around this $1.10 right over here, right? So this level, I would call it like an immediate resistance level, because currently this is where the 20 days moving average is at. And previously, somewhere in February to March, this period of time, this is where we saw price being testing this level a few months, right? Probably at least 1 to 2 months or so. And then before it actually broke down and we have a 1 GT bearish signal coming out. So if prices is actually able to head back to this $1.10, do you think it's okay to take profits? I would think it's okay to actually take some partial profits, right? Especially so if we see like, you know, the longer term trends, right? Especially the red and the blue line, it's actually still pointing up, right? And if prices can break and hold above this $1.10, potentially we can see price head towards the next resistance at this, you know, 118, probably this level right over here, right? 117, 118, but even to the $1.20 psychological level right over here, right? Before some selling come back again, right? So that would be for Propnex. I will pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. Let me go ahead to share my screen and I'll cover this stock called Singtel. Seems like a lot of people is asking about Singtel, right? Nelson, Singtel, should I sell now? So I assume you are holding on. Maybe you bought a few months back, right? Then whether should you take some profit and sell, right? So let's see who is asking about Singtel. We have another one, right? Singtel, sell, right? Whether to sell again. Let's see. I think one more of you asking about Singtel as well. We have not Kim Siong. I think we have let's see. Oh, Kim Siong right over here, right? Singtel Z74. Can we sell for some profit? What's the next target price? So let's talk about Singtel. There's quite a lot of you asking about Singtel. It seems like a lot of you asking whether it's time to take profit. Maybe can it go up higher, right? So don't need to sell, let it go up, then sell, then make more money, right? So let's go to find out for that, right? So this is Singtel. You can see $3.81, which is like 380, 381, and now it's 380 again. You can see, guys, this is live, so it's like moving up and down as I'm talking. All right, so 381, 380. All right, but before we talk about where we are right now, you can see that since last year in June, right, Singtel has been one of the pretty resilient, very gradual uptrending stock in the longer term, just by looking at the red line and the blue line, right? So we want to see the longer term trend up. We never want to buy stock, right? First thing first, right? I mean, just a very quick, kind of a look at the entire one good trend strategy. We do want to buy stocks that are in a longer term downtrend, whereby, just going down every other day or every other week. No, we don't want to do that, right? We don't buy stocks that are strong, which are making what we call higher lows, right? Higher lows. So the lows actually gets higher and higher. You can see, right? Just by looking at the lows, it gets higher and higher, right? But without even looking at the lows, just by looking at the red and the blue line, well, we are already in a longer term uptrend, not just last week or last month, since last year, all right, in June, right? And obviously right now, are we still in a longer term uptrend? Yeah, still is. Let's just look at the red and blue line. They're both pointing up. The red is above the blue, right? So longer term uptrend intact, right? Let's take a look at maybe the short term trend. So short term doesn't mean it's always up. Can be sideways, can be down also, right? So you can see over here, it was like up and then sideways, and from October to all the way to February, actually it was a bit boring. Look at this, right? It was just, this green line was just moving sideways, nothing much, right? But somewhere around January, not too bad. I can see the green line started to point up, maybe flat a bit, then up. Now it's like still pointing up, all right? So I think the longer term trend and the short term trend still looks pretty good for Singtel, all right? So there's like two takes, right, from the one good trend strategy. And let's take a look at if we can get a few more confirmations, right, just by looking at the bullish or even bearish signal. So you can see this is the 1GT Pro indicator, right? Any stocks, any asset classes, we can turn it on and get a quick opinion. So I can just turn it on right over here, 1, 2, 3, pump. Let's see what it shows, right? Let's see what it shows. So you can see, right, since like last year, in somewhere in May, right? Not this year, in last year, May, right? We had a bullish signal, another bullish signal, it went up even faster, and then finally a bearish signal. So when you see a bearish signal and the green line starts to flatten out, it just means a bit of profit taking, a bit of an obstacle, a bit hard to break the resistance level. So maybe take some profit to get out. I mean, that would be a pretty good, gain from here all the way to here. I would say 36% in 5 months. Pretty okay, right? Nothing wrong with that, all right? Move sideways for a while, and I mentioned it was a bit boring, right? The green line was flat, nothing happened, and finally pump. Right over here, right? We got the bullish signal coming out. So I think we talked about this stock as well in our previous live AMAS session as well, somewhere over here in January, 28 January, right? So this bullish signal came out in January, right? Not last week or last one, in January, quite long ago, right? And the green 20 days moving average line also started to point up as another confirmation, all right? So looking pretty good as well. This bullish signal is still in play, right? Are we seeing like a bearish signal like this, maybe coming out over here or here or here? I don't know. All right, it hasn't come out yet for now, right? It hasn't come out yet, so I don't know when it'll come out. But so far, it seems like we are still pushing higher. And if I can quickly turn on what we call the trailing support, one of the very powerful features of my 1GD Pro indicator. Let me show you what I mean, right? You can see I just turn it on. There we go. So when we had this first bullish signal coming out in January, right? And you can see a trailing support actually pops up. So let me give you guys an idea exactly what is a trailing support level, right? A trailing support, as the name sounds, right? It trails or it follows the stock, right? The prices as it moves higher while giving it space to breathe, right? The breathing space, the allowance, such that you want to, give it space to maneuver, all right? And it accounts for volatility as well. So you don't want to follow it too tightly, or you can give it some space. And you can see, right? So this is the trailing spot that follows it up, flat, up, flat, up, flat, up, up. Now it started to move up, so it started to follow again, right? So you can see that we are still above this trailing support level as another confirmation as well. So it looks still pretty bullish, I would say. And in fact, right, in 2 weeks ago, when we had the market selling down, right, by 2%, 3%, S&P 500 down by 4-5%, right? Well, you can see, right, we actually sold off as well. Well, when was that? That was in 7 April. Yeah, that was the day whereby everything really sold off quite heavily, right, when Trump introduced the reciprocal tariffs. And for Singtel, it actually went down. And for 2 days, we actually went below the trailing support level, right? Look at this. We went below the trailing support level, but buyers came back and pushed it all the way back up until it was still above that trailing support level, whereby it gave it space to breathe, and we were still thankfully above it. And you see, right, start to push away from the trailing support over the past 2 weeks. So not too bad, not too bad. I would say that maybe if I can draw like a near-term horizontal support level, maybe over the past week, some support seems to be coming out just from what we have seen over the past few days. Rebound near $3.70. Some buying pressure seems to be appearing already, right? Not even near the trailing support. So trailing support, there's some space. You can see, right? There's some space here between the horizontal support and the trailing support. Why is there space? Well, as I say, right, the trailing support accounts for volatility, so you give it more breathing space lah. Whereas for the horizontal support, which I've just drawn, that one just connects the lows that we have seen over the past week. All right, there's no space, right? It's just pretty much connecting low. All right, so if we stay above the horizontal support, good enough. Right, if we're above the trailing support, better. Right, better. All right, so that is pretty much where we are right now, just above the 370. And if you can draw like maybe a resistance level, I think that would be a little bit of a resistance at about 380. So look at this, right? Now the price is like 381, right? So I'm not too sure what's happening. Oh, you see, it's like coming up and down, guys. This is like live. So we are just trying to attempt to break the $3.80 for the past week, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. We are just going up and down from 370 to 380. So I think today would be pretty crucial, or maybe up to next week as well, if we can maybe close above 380, like 382, 83, or 84 or something, right? I think that could be a good confirmation, or that could be a good confirmation of a little bit more upside coming back. All right, and this bullish signal can continue to play out. Targets could be revised, maybe all the way to 380, maybe all the way to like $4. That could be like the next psychological resistance level after $3.80. All right, so that will be for Singtel. So far, so good, right? It looks pretty good. We have, it's looking more bullish based on what we see from the 1GT bullish signals, from the trend indicators as well, from the moving averages. All looks pretty good for now. If we can hopefully stay above that $3.70 still. All right, so that is for Singtel. Okay, so let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover the next Singapore stock. Bervyn, all yours?
Thanks, Joey. Okay, I think Peter was asking. I think he bought Seatrium. I think a lot of people have this stock, Seatrium. Let me just throw it up to the screen right here. Okay, so right here we have Seatrium. I think one pretty interesting thing about Seatrium, if you realize, Peter, over the many years you have held, you've never gotten a dividend for Seatrium. I think most recently they have announced that there is actually a dividend or proposed dividend that is actually coming up for Seatrium, something pretty new. So usually when a company announces a dividend, they usually have excess cash in their books that they need to return to or they want to return to their shareholders. So this is a really good sign, because I think Seatrium over the last few quarters have turned a profit as well. So that is not too bad, but let's look at it technically and see where it is heading at this point. So I think somewhere in October of last year, we finally see a reversal of the 20 days moving average, where it finally crossed above the 100 and 200 days moving average. And then somewhere in November, we have that longer term moving averages also showing some sign of strength. However, I think as it approached that $2.60 level, because you said you bought at the 250 and held for many years, as it approached and maybe finally over the years, I finally see a little bit of profit, it sold down. So we actually see sellers actually come in, not able to break that 260 key level where they have been held under previously as well. Sometime in 2022, went above it. 2023 tested it, and he had held under it since 2023. So I think as you can see, it had broken down and headed towards even to that 160 level previously. I think sometime in March, early April, it had approached that 160 level. Not too good, but we actually see a little bit of a bias pushing prices back up towards that $2 psychological level. So round numbers like $2 to $3 and $3.50, $2.50, all these round numbers are good psychological levels that you want to take note of, because these are levels where you tend to see a little bit more price action come in. Like Joey have said, prices tend to consolidate below these round numbers and then break above it. Or alternatively, you could see sellers come back in to profit take towards this level as well. So I think if we just zoom in just a little bit, I think over the last 3 days or last 4 days, including today itself, we have came close to that $2 level, not able to break above it just yet, but we have that 20 days moving average starting to show a little bit of a sign of weakness as well, starting to point down. We want to actually see prices maybe consolidate a little bit. Why? In that way, you would see that 20 days moving average start to flatten out as well and potentially start to point up when prices break above that $2 level or break above that key psychological level to actually push higher or get back towards that $2.60 level. But right now, I would say the support, Peter, is around that 160 level where I will place it. So I think if you are looking to protect your downside a little bit, just take note that this 260 level is one of the levels that you maybe can place your stop loss just below it, because you see, as in the past, it had rebounded somewhere close to this level, maybe at the 150 to 160 level. That's where you actually can see a little bit of a bias actually come in. If not, if it's broken, you may see the downside towards that 140 level, because you have held it for so long. I think as prices starts to head higher, let me just change the color of this first. As prices, can hit higher, you want to be also taking care of your profits as well, especially if it hits towards that 260, breaks above it, hit toward that perhaps maybe even that $3 level. If the trend is able to reverse once more again, I think that's where you want to protect some of those profits. But as of right now, let's monitor to see if prices are able to break above that $2 level. So if I were to turn on my trailing support and resistance, you could see there is currently a trailing support that is right around that 160 level. So that means if I were to turn on that buy or sell signal, you could see that on the 22nd, Tuesday, there was a 1 GT bullish signal. Maybe another 1 GT bullish signal could come about if that $2 level is broken. As you can see previously, that was a key level, or that was a level where actually a 1 GT signal actually came out as well when it was broken. So I think as of now, just watch first. And I think if you have access to the system, you can actually set an alert for another 1 GT bullish signal or 1 GT signal that could come out. Just have to right click, add alert, change it, the condition, change it to the 1 GT indicator, select buy or sell alert. All right, once per bar, and then create. So that's when, if there's any new signals, you will be alerted on your mobile, or will be alerted by email, whatever setting that you choose. Then maybe come back in and see where are prices heading then. All right, Peter, I think that's for Seatrium. I think may I pass the time now to Z to bring you through the next talk.
All right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, let me share my screen. I think I saw this question from Joshua asking about gold, right? So hi Joshua, morning. Okay, so mention about gold as a stock pick about 2 weeks ago, and then if it comes down, gold has come down the past couple of days. So I'm wondering if now might be an opportune time to actually enter. Okay, let me just very quickly hide this comment because this comment is quite long, okay? But okay, I get what you're trying to say. Okay, so for gold, let's take a look at gold, all right? Because gold, for this particular counter GLD US dollars, is actually a stock that is listed in the Singapore exchange that actually tracks the gold price, right? And this was actually one of the bonus stock that we actually covered on 2 weeks ago, which I believe last week was actually PH, right? So 11 of April, right over here, which on the day that is also a 1GT bullish signal coming out. At this point in time, do you think the trend still looks great for this counter? In terms of the long-term trend and the short-term trend, I would think yes lah. At this point in time, if we look at all the moving averages, it's definitely still pointing up, right? Plus, at this point in time, is there any 1GT bearish signal coming up? No, right? And I wouldn't be surprised that, especially so if gold, has actually broken above the $300, because previously back 2 weeks ago, right, this $300 was actually a psychological resistance, right? And prices have actually broke above this psychological resistance, turning this 300 to become what we call a support, right? Right now, price is still trading above this $300, right? And definitely, when price reach an all-time high, right, we should not be surprised when we actually do see some pullback actually happening, because can you imagine those people that actually bought gold maybe at the start of the year, or probably even just maybe a couple of months back, maybe somewhere in March or April, somewhere over here, right? Price have reached about 320. It's normal for them, it's about a 20% rise in price in 1 to 2 months. It's normal for people to actually take profits, right? It's normal for people to actually sell some and take some profits. And it's okay. It's normal to actually see some pullback happening, right? And what is even better and what I'm actually looking out for, right, is that if price pullback, right, and it is actually able to hold above this 300 and perhaps maybe consolidate a bit more before it actually push up even higher, right? That would actually make this uptrend even more sustainable. So to answer Joshua's question, right, whether is it a good time to actually accumulate on this position, I would say somewhere near this support level right over here, right? I think this would be a potential area or potential buy zone that you can potentially position yourself for entry, because it is near a support level, right? It's near a support level. And let me just turn on this trailing support and resistance that Joey has previously mentioned about. Okay, let me just turn it on right over here, right? And we can see that, the trailing support has, the price is actually still respecting the trailing support level. Like it has been going up, and the trailing support has also been following, right? Following the prices up, right? And what Joey has mentioned earlier on, the horizontal doesn't account for the volatility, right? As we can see right over here, the trading support is somewhere around this 295, 296 level, whereby it actually accounts for the stock volatility, right? So if you were to ask me where can you potentially position yourself for entry, and somewhere around this green color box that I've just drawn right over here, this is where we want to buy near a support zone, especially when the uptrend is actually still intact. All right. So perhaps what you can potentially do, Joshua, is maybe you might want to set a price alert, right? Right over here, maybe you can right click, add alert and set a price alert somewhere around here. Maybe like, I don't know, 302, 303, this level right over here. I think it will be good to be alerted to let you know, if price were to actually head back to this level, and this is where you can potentially position yourself for entry. All right. And in terms of resistance wise, let me just quickly cover it at this point in time, because right now, it's very, very clear that the resistance, right, is at this 320 because of this candlestick that we are actually witnessing right over here on this very day, right? Because of this candle. And because of the long upper shadow right over here, it actually indicates that the selling pressure right over here is actually very strong. So if some of you guys who are holding and you are thinking, okay, maybe I want to take some profits, where can you potentially take profits again? I would say definitely somewhere back near this 320 level once more. If prices were to consolidate and manage to go back up, and if it managed to break above this 320, definitely I would not rule out more potential upside for this particular counter, especially so when gold is actually still very attractive in current times, right? especially during global uncertainties, especially with the China and US tension, not sure whether they're actually really going to do a negotiation regarding the tariffs or not. So gold is definitely still a safe haven appeal, right, to a lot of the investors. And plus, this, if we just look at it at a bigger picture, GLD is actually definitely still respecting the uptrend very beautifully. All right. So that would be for GLD. I'll pass the time back over to Joey to cover another stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. Let me go ahead to move on to the next stock. All right, and that would be Yangzijiang Shipbuilding. I think some of you are asking about this stock for quite a while. Let's see, Eddie, is Yangzijiang good to buy at $2.20? So Yangzijiang, if you're talking about 220, so I believe that would be Yangzijiang Shipbuilding. We have another one of you. Let's see, Jimmy Ong. I've been eyeing Yangzijiang Ship, but the gap up is the worry. Can nibble now, right? Maybe just buy a little bit, right? Is it starting to reverse back up? Let's go ahead to find out today, right? So you can see this is Yangzijiang at about $2.21. So very quickly, just to save time, I'm going to turn on what we call my 1GT Pro indicator to see what it says. Are there any bullish or bearish signals over the past few weeks? Let's take a look. Let me turn it on. 1, 2, 3, pump. There we go. All right. So in a matter of seconds, you get an opinion on any stocks, any asset classes, Singapore stocks, US stocks, Hong Kong stocks, any asset classes, right? In seconds. So you can see this is Yangzijiang, and well, actually, last year it was not too bad. We had a couple of bullish signals coming out right here in December, February as well, in May, pump, all the way up. Pretty good move, I would say, right? The long-term trend was up. We had a couple of bullish signals, and we shot all the way up 79% in about 6-7 months. Not too bad, right? Not too bad. Of course, whenever you get a bearish signal, so yeah, not too bad. Bullish signals coming out. There we go. Bearish signals. So when you see a bearish signal, a red color bearish signal, then not too good lah. Don't go and buy. You want to be patient. You want to wait because you see a bearish signal means there's some selling coming back, especially if the green 20 days moving average line also start to point down. You want to be careful. All right. So you can take some profit, get out. All right. 79% good enough. All right. And over here as well, I think in December last year, well, pretty good bullish signal. The green line point up all the way up. And obviously we have two bearish signals coming out when that was on the 24th February, right? So if you remember, right, for Yangzijiang Shipbuilding, the US government actually announced this import fees or import ship on those Chinese ships. They are talking the US ports, I think 1.5 or $1 million US dollars. And that's where, it kind of like affected, Chinese shipbuilder like Yangzijiang Shipbuilding. And of course, over the past couple of 1-2 months, right, with the ongoing trade tensions or tariffs that was being announced as well, an escalation of the, trade war between US and China. Of course, this, Yangzijiang Shipbuilding is a Chinese shipbuilder, right? It's not a US shipbuilder, right? It's a Chinese shipbuilder. So that's where, it got a little bit affected as well. It has sold off a little bit heavier as well, right? So you can see right now, two bearish signals since February, down. We have gone down by, I would say, about 40%, 41%, all right, to the low, and then you started to see a bit of rebound. So that's how, just by having what we call an indicator or like a system to guide you, not just to buy, but also when to get out. I think that's very important as well. So if you guys want to find out a little bit more about how, perhaps about the entire strategy, or maybe how you could test drive my 1GT Lite indicator for free. So I'll share with you guys this, right? So essentially I have this 1GT Lite indicator. So this is the Pro version. So we have the 1GT Lite indicator, which pretty much just consists of the buy and sell signals. It doesn't have all the more advanced boxes right over here, all right, like the volume and all that. It's just the buy and sell signals. So if you want to test drive the 1GT Lite indicator for free, guys, I'm going to share the link in the chat. Our team can just put the link in the chat. And once you click on the link, this is pretty much where you will head to, right over here. All right, so the most incredible free gift ever in the stock market, not just to think about buying, but about where to get out as well. All right, and that would be kind of like the 1GT Lite indicator. You can test drive it for free. All right, and you get like $3,997 worth of information for free as well, just for saying maybe, all right, to test drive this the 1GT Lite indicator. So check it out. The link is right in the chat, guys. All right, and let me go ahead to continue. All right, on Yangzijiang Shipbuilding, right? Yangzijiang Shipbuilding. So you can see right now that the green 20 days moving average line is still pointing down. So we're not entirely out of the woods, right? Is there like a new bullish signal like this, right? Coming out over here or here or here? Haven't yet, right? It hasn't come out yet, right? So I would say not entirely out of the woods. So what we could do, right, is to set an alert. You can just right click, set an alert. Price, one good trend pro indicator, buy or sell alert, once per bar, done, create. So when I do see, all right, or basically when a 1 GT bullish signal gets triggered, that's where I'll be alerted. All right. So like, Jimmy, can you nibble a little bit now? Well, not say that you cannot nibble, all right, but just to take note that in the short-term trend is still down. We are not entirely out of the woods, but it's a fact that we have seen some support maybe coming out around 180 to $2, 180 to $2. So if you want to nibble a bit near 180 or $2 right over there, I think it's quite okay. I mean, it's really very attractive. It's really very attractive. We're back to last year prices. So really, really very attractive. But the point here is that it is still too early to call for a very firm reversal yet. Why? Because the bullish signal have not come out. Does it make sense? All right. And is the green line still pointing down? Yes, it is still pointing down. I mean, don't have to bluff yourself. I mean, obviously, it's still pointing down, right? Of course, if the green line, like from down, and then like from here, then start to go up, and then different story, all right? Then we see a bullish signal, different story. Then I would say that we are in for a reversal already. Then maybe you can load up a bit more, all right? But now, I wouldn't say to load up or whack everything in, all right, but more to nibble a little bit, maybe near 180 or $2. If it does hit there, it's fine because prices are looking attractive, but you must know that the short-term trend is still down. We could still potentially hit even lower. So normally you want to wait for a clearer confirmation, something like this, right over here, right? Bullish signals, the green line also start to point up, right? Are we seeing now? No, right? We're not seeing it right now. If that happens over here, great, right? That happens over here, great. But so far, still not yet, all right? And if you can simply turn on what we call like the trailing resistance level. So since we had the bearish signals coming out, right? In February, you can see, right? The trailing resistance has popped out, down. It follows Yangtze Shipbuilding, all right? The price as it goes lower, right? You can see follow down, flat, down, all right? And now it starts to flatten out. So you can see we are still kind of like below the trailing resistance, which is at about $2.30. All right, so I think a very good, I would say, another form of a confirmation, all right, that we can get to really see a reversal, apart from the 20 days moving average line still pointing down, would be if we can get above 230 or 240. We're still below. Now it's 220, right? But let's say next week or next week, we can get above 230 to 240. Well, that would be a good thing. We are pretty much back above the trailing resistance. So this trailing resistance gives the stock space to breathe and to go down, lower, right? So if you're below it, not good. But 1 Friday, if you give it a space, but yet it goes above it, that could be a good thing, right? That could be a good thing. That could be beginning, all right? Or maybe a kind of like the first signal of a potential reversal back up. So just watch this resistance, 230, 240, those are very critical levels. We can get above these levels. Green 20 days moving average line start to point up. And of course, if we do see a bullish signal where that comes out as well, that would be a more formal confirmation of that reversal coming in. All right, so that will be for Yangtze Shipbuilding. So we have placed the link in the chat. You can test drive my 1 GT light indicator for free. You can set an alert as well for it so that when the bullish signal comes out, you can be alerted as well. All right, so let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover the next Singapore stock. Bervyn?
Thanks, Joey. Okay, Sheng, welcome back, Sheng. Okay, so we bought DBS very recently on Wednesday at about $42 and $42 something. Okay, down almost $1. What is the right price to DCA, or what is the right price to dollar cost average? I think quite a lot of people are asking about DBS as well. I think Kim Siong was also asking about DBS. Should we buy more now for a high dividend yield? Okay, great. Okay, so let me just throw up my screen. All right, okay, I think for DBS, I think over the past few years, they have been announcing very, very, very generous special dividends. So just one thing to take note about dividends. So dividends are not guaranteed, especially for special dividends. So it only appears, it only is announced when the company is doing exceptionally well and they have a lot of excess cash on their books to actually give up to the shareholders. So just take note, doesn't mean a high dividend yield is the best thing or it is confirmed we'll have this year, next year, following year. Okay, so I think we still want to take note on how the company is doing technically, how the company is doing fundamentally as well. Are these dividends sustainable or not? So, okay, let's see. For DBS, technically, we have seen that rebound, very similar to the other banks as well. It had rebounded from that $36 psychological support level. So this is a good sign. It's a good sign. Alongside, I mean, is one of those key constituents in the STI as well. So if it rebounds, the STI tends to show a rebound as well. So this $36 is one of those levels that, you know, as of now, we can say that it is a key level to watch out for. I think Sheng, you bought somewhere around at $42.78. Great. I think not too bad for an entry. What I'm seeing right now would be a temporary support around that. Wait, let me just get it up. That temporary support around that 41 to 41 and a half level. As you can see in the past, it actually had rebounded from this level slightly. Previously, it had tested this level just somewhere early in April, finally broke above it. I think that is when you actually saw, hey, is this an opportunity to get in on a breakout? Not too sure about where it will hit or whether it will hold above this $41, $41.50 level as of now. But it looks like over the past 3 days, right here, let me just shade it, it had consolidated above this level. So it is holding up not too badly. And we are approaching, of course, their earnings on the 8th of May as well. So I think a little bit of a sideways movement can be expected. Not much price movement before an earnings is announced. But I think for now, I will place that immediate resistance around that $44 level first. The $44 level where prices had previously broken below and fell towards that $36 level. But as of now, with this $43 as a resistance level, I think you already positioned yourself quite well within this range as well. I think there's no need to go and buy. Just be a little bit patient. Be a little bit patient first. Don't need to buy to immediately dollar cost average as well, because I think the price difference will not be too much for you. I think sometimes people think about dollar cost averaging as a buying on the way down, but I think buying on the way down could also be a very, very, very dangerous move, especially if the technical indicators or the technical signs do not look too good. But as of now, that 100 days and 200 days moving average are still flat. So maybe we could expect a little bit of a consolidation between the $41 and $44 level for now. And if this level finally gives way, I think Sheng, maybe you can even consider a breakout strategy where you can accumulate more at a new support level or higher support level to see if, you know, higher lows are actually or potentially could be forming. Let me just get rid of it. This for you for now. First, something like that, you know, where prices are actually forming higher lows, which I think it would be a better strategy to accumulate rather than accumulate on a weakness, I think, in such times as well. So with that level giving way, that 43 level, if it gives way, I think the next level could be that high that, you know, DBS had once achieved that all-time high, that about that $47 level. So I think in the upcoming weeks, with the earnings results coming out as well, we want to also take note, like what Kim Seong is asking, are there any new dividends, or are there any new special dividends, or just quarterly dividends that are being announced? So I think if I do to just turn on one more thing, that 1 GT bullish signal. So this is when you have actually bought, when you saw this 1 GT bullish signal. Not too bad, like Joey have mentioned. As prices fall, we have that trailing resistance, and a little bit of a room is given for prices to actually hit higher, and eventually break above that trailing resistance. So the immediate trailing support will be around that $38 level, which is still holding as of now. If prices were to hit higher, like I mentioned, this trailing support will also, you know, form higher and higher, just below that price movement as well. So as long as we are able to hold above this trailing support, I think Sheng, you are still in a good position. Just have to set up a little bit of do a little bit of setup where you set up an alert to let yourself know if there is any bearish signal. As of now, no bearish signals yet. Maybe we can even see more 1 GT bullish signals as it breaks those key resistance level. All right, so that is for DBS. Can I pass the time to Z to cover the next stock for you?
All right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so the next stock that I'll be covering will be Centurion, right? So I saw Miffy actually asking Centurion can buy now. And I think earlier I also saw Victor actually commenting on this. Any comment on Centurion? Any upside for another 10%? Okay, let's take a look at this counter, right? So since the start of 2024, right, boring, it has just been going sideways. Then after that, somewhere, start of May, this is where things get a little bit more exciting, right? Oh, trend is looking great, going up. Okay, great, fantastic, going up. And then 2025, that's where, things start to get sideways. But sideways, short-term trend, but long-term trend still looks great, right? Okay. And this is where we are at now, right? And if we take a look at the moving averages at this point in time, we see that all three moving averages, short-term green, longer-term red, and blue, are actually still looking great, right? They are all actually still pointing up, right? And if let me just share this with you guys in terms of the bullish and bearish signal, right? I mean, of course, at this point in time, we have a bearish signal, but let me share with you guys on this, all right? So if we take a look at the bullish signal, right over here at the very first one at the start of 2024, right? This is where we have probably what we have we could have gained, right, if we actually got in near the 1 GT bullish signal and exit near the 1 GT bearish signal. And then subsequently another one happened right over here to the bearish signal right over here, right? Another 40%. Then this is where we get 4 consecutive 1 GT bullish signal right over here, right, to where we are here. This is about like close to 16%, right? So I would say in terms of the longer term trend, in terms of the trend of this counter, if you just take a look at this and in terms of the signal itself, it actually looks fantastic, right? It looks fantastic. So let's talk about this counter at this point in time. Is there any upside and any potential upside for another 10%, right? That's what Victor is actually asking. So at this point in time, we have just analyzed that the longer term trend and the shorter term trend is actually still looking fantastic, right? But at this point in time, we have a 1 GT bearish signal coming out right over here, right? On 7th of April. And why this 1 GT bearish signal came out is very simple. Let me just turn this on. This trailing support and resistance, okay? So let me just turn this on. And like what Joey explained about the trailing support and trailing resistance earlier on, the reason why this 1 GT bearish signal came out is on this very day, you can see that this long red candle actually broke below the trailing support. And remember what Joey said earlier on, trailing support, it actually gives the stocks room to actually breathe, right? And if it actually break below the room that you give it to breathe, is it good or bad? Not that great, right? Not that great. So that's why we actually have a 1 GT bearish signal coming out. And when this signal, 1 GT bearish signal come out, what does it mean? It just means that there's more selling pressure returning to the counter. It doesn't mean that the stock will crash, right? It doesn't mean that the stock will continue going down, right? As we can see, very quickly, a couple of days later, buying pressure come back and push prices back up. And right now, over the past couple of weeks, we can see that, over the past 2 to 3 weeks, right, we see prices slowly inching up towards the trailing resistance. Okay, let me just remove this. You see, right over here, there's this trailing resistance, this line right over here. Price is actually inching up towards that, and that is actually also a good sign, right? Because if price can actually break above this trailing resistance, what do we see? We actually get another confirmation from the 1 GT bullish signal, right? So for those of you who are actually thinking to enter Centurion, right, thinking, should I enter now or should I wait? I would say we want to actually get in when there's actually more confirmation, right? So what we can potentially do right over here is to actually add an alert, right? To alert you if there's actually another 1 GT bullish signal coming up. Right, so what we can do right over here, right click, add alert, select 1 GT, right? I want to be alerted of both buy and sell alert. So a bit more kiasu, right? Just put buy and sell for both once per bar. And I'll just change it to Centurion, right? And create. So once I've done that, when price actually break above these trailing resistance lines, which is also where we have actually drawn our horizontal resistance, right? If price can actually break above this level, definitely we will see another 1 GT bullish signal coming out and gives us more confirmation that potentially there could be more upside for this counter, right? And in terms of upside, where are the potential upside that we are looking at? What are the targets that we are looking at, right? Because at this point in time, price definitely, we all know that it's at an all-time high. So when price is at an all-time high, what do we usually do is we can actually do a projection, right? So if we do a projection up like this, one of the potential level that we can look at will be somewhere around this 145, right? Perhaps 145 to this 150. 150 could be a psychological resistance, right? But this could be the next potential targets and upside for this counter if prices is actually able to break and hold above the resistance right over here, and especially this trailing resistance that we have just shown. All right, so that will be a very quick one for Centurion. I hope that gives you a bit more idea on the trend and maybe what to potentially look out for, right? So now I'll pass the time back over to Joey to actually cover the next Singapore stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. Let me go ahead to share my screen and I'll just cover the next one. And that would be on CNMC Goldmine. All right, I hope you're asking about CNMC. I hope you're still here. All right, CNMC Gold, is it a good buy now? Let's find out. So, okay, see, this is CNMC Goldmine. Over the past, I would say, a couple of months, you started to see a bit of strength because something like GLD gold that Z covered as well. Well, this is to do with the gold mining. So anything to do with gold, whether you're mining the gold or what, you're starting to see it move up because of gold being seen as a safe haven kind of asset. All right. So you can see that since like January, we had a bullish signal coming out. There we go, all the way up. A bearish signal went sideways a bit, down a bit, right? But a couple of bullish signals in March. In March, went up. Of course, on this day, that will be on 7th of April. 7th April, right, was the day that everything sold off when Trump announced the reciprocal tariff. So yeah, we did have a bearish signal come up, but a few days later, you can see, right? Just last week on the Friday, in fact, just last Friday, right? Last Friday, or just last Friday, we had a bullish signal coming out about 2 Fridays back, right? We've got a bullish 1 GT signal coming out. So not too bad, right? Not too bad, right? Started to push up. The green 20 days moving average line started to go from sideways back to up. The red and blue, I mean, the red and blue is a longer term trend, right? It has been up since last year. So that's pretty easy to see, right? So longer term trend, I mean, it's the same sounds, right? Longer term, right? So it takes a while to change. So it's been up for the 1 over year, but for the short term, it can change whether is it 1 week or 2 weeks or 1 month or 2 months, right? So that's where we want to make sure that the short-term trend is up as well before taking any long position, before thinking about buying. So right now you see that short-term trend up, long-term trend is up. We got a 1 GT bullish signal popping out about 2 weeks back. So if I can draw, right? If I can draw, I would say that we may probably see some support. So yeah, we hit it to like 48,475, consolidate a bit of selling, right? Profit taking came back down, but we are still above the 40 cents psychological support level, all right, for now. And that's also where the 20 days moving average line is as well. So I think the range would be like 40 cents. That's a horizontal near-term support, maybe all the way to that 48 to 50 cents. I think that could be where we might see a bit of our profit taking. So that is kind of like the range, and that is the 40 cents to 48 cents range for now. So I think if we can hold above 40 cents, still okay. All right, that could be where you could kind of like enter on dips. But let me go ahead to share with you guys on this trailing support and resistance. You can see right over here. So when we got the bullish signal coming out, prices started to move up. The trailing support also follow, move up, and then started to flatten out. Why is it flattening out? Well, because we are not really moving up anymore, right? But if we continue to move up, then it will start to follow it and move up even more. So you can see that the trailing support is slightly lower than this 40 cents horizontal support that I've drawn. All right, why is it lower? Well, as I say, right, the trailing support accounts for the volatility of the stock, right? If it's very volatile and it's moving up quite fast, then we give it some space. So that's why, based on this space, it is slightly lower than the horizontal support. So preferably, all right, if we can be above the horizontal support, but even if it is down a little bit, but it's still above the trailing support, right, that accounts for the volatility and is the breathing room for it to breathe, right, it's still okay. So hopefully we stay above that 36 to 40 cents. I think this stock still looks pretty okay just by looking at the short-term trend and also the longer-term moving averages. All right, so that would be for CNMC Goldmine. All right, let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover the next Singapore stock.
Thanks, Joey. Okay, let's see what's the stock that I want to cover. I think just now I saw somebody was asking about SIA. Let me just see. Who was it that was asking about SIA? I think RL was asking about SIA. Is it time to buy? Okay, let me just throw it out on the screen. SIA. I think, let's see, RL. I think SIA, yep, it has, of course, alongside other stocks, it had rebounded a bit from a key level we look just from previously, this $6 level was a key support level heading up to this year. It had been kept pretty much in this level. Just below it, I think we have that 580 support level as well. So I think prices have been pretty much been kept between this 580 since last year. For about a full year, we have been $587 coming down back to 580 again, heading up. So I think in the nearer term, let's see if we are able to spot any temporary resistance or immediate resistance level. Right here, we can see prices came close to this 660, 670 level, which is where prices are at this point as well. So I think if you are looking to buy, I think you got to wait for a little bit longer as well. Do not want to buy close to a resistance unless you're looking for a breakout strategy, but you tend to want to buy above a resistance once it had turned into a support as well. What is the trend looking like? I think the 100 days and 200 days moving average, sloping up ever so slightly, I think, but that 20 days moving average is currently still pointing out down. Even though it had rebounded, we haven't seen the 20 days moving average flatten out just yet. It is still a little bit flat. So I think we want to be a bit more prudent. I think I'll be a little bit more patient. Let's see if prices are going to be consolidating below this 680 immediate resistance level, or would it be able to break above to form a new support. So if we are looking, I think the closer term support I think could be found about that 620 level, I think, as of now. So I think can set some alerts. I think a price alert above the $7 level, or above the 670 to 680 level would be a good alert first to be set. No rush. I think can be a little bit more patient for SIA for now. Let me just turn on this trailing support. As you can see, prices have broken above that trailing resistance very recently, I think on the 22nd of April as well. But I think we just look back in the past, we actually see prices break above that trailing support, then break below that trailing support sometime in February last year. Yep, so it is pretty much still very, very range bound. We do not see any breakout from this 580 to $7 level for now. All right, so let me clear up the lines first. I think it's getting a bit messy. Okay, so I think these three levels would be the immediate levels to actually watch out for, RL. So let me just turn on that buy and sell signals. We have that 1GT bullish signal actually came in on the 22nd when that trailing resistance actually give way. So I think if we are able to break above that 670, 680 level, I think another 1GT bullish signal could come in. I think what we want to watch out for would be if prices are finally able to break above this $7 psychological level, which had been kept under since June of 2023 when it achieved that high. So I think where would prices head towards? If I were to just do a little projection from this 680, I think the immediate next level to watch out for, just get rid of this, would be towards that 730, perhaps maybe even that 740 level, if that $7 level finally gives way. So I think earnings are also coming up on the 15th of May, mid of next month. So I think that is one thing. Maybe it'll be a catalyst to project prices higher, but I think it's still too early to say at this point. So I think very, very quick one for SIA. Nothing much going on. More of a wait and see situation. All right, Z, maybe passing the time to you.
All right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so I think the next stock, right, that I will be covering is by Lam, right? Lam is actually asking about Sembcorp industry. So before I actually proceed, right, just want to do a very quick recap on all the stocks that we have actually covered today, because I think we have done 4 rounds already, right? 4 round robins, like Joey, Bervyn, myself, and then now it's the 12th stock, right? So I just want to do a very, very quick recap on what we have covered, and perhaps subsequently you can go a couple of more rounds, like quicker, right? Then to cover a bit more stocks for you guys, okay? So the very first stock that Joey actually covered today is Geo Energy, followed by OCBC, and then Propnex. I covered Propnex, and then Joey covered Singtel, Bervyn covered Seatrium, then followed by GLD, US dollars, and Yangtze Shipbuilding, DBS, Centurion, CNMC, Goldmine, and Bervyn has just covered the 11th stock, which is SIA, right? And right now, in the 12th stock, I'll be doing the stock called Sembcorp Industry, right? And right here, let's just dive right in, okay? So Lam is actually asking about Sembcorp Industry and whether is it good to buy. So let's take a look at this stock, right? So if we look at the trend wise, I mean, over the past year, 2024 to 2025, it doesn't look that fantastic now, because the longer term trend, like we all know, the red and the blue line is kind of like just going sideways, up and down, kind of like filtering against each other. But in between, we do see some short term weakness and strength coming back, right? But right over here, we actually spot something, right? Here. We actually start to see like higher lows actually being formed, and we also start to see some signs of the trend actually turning up, whereby the moving averages started to move up as well, right? All three of them, especially the longer term trend right over here is actually looking more positive, right, compared to when we actually see it somewhere over here, right? So at this point in time, sorry, okay, so at this point in time, right now we can very clearly draw like the very key support level that maybe perhaps those of you who are looking at Sembcorp Industry should take note, right, will be somewhere around this level right over here, right? This 580 level right over here, right, would be one of the support. 580 to about this $6 will be one of the support that perhaps you might want to take note of, right? Because this level was where price was kept below since like 2024 all the way to 2025 before it actually broke above it and retested it right over here, right? And in terms of the resistance, what resistance are we looking at this point in time? So the resistance, right, previously a couple of weeks back, the resistance would be around this level right over here, right? This 645 to about this 650 level, because this was where we actually saw selling pressure actually returning to push prices back down, right? And right now, price is actually trading. Seems like it's actually trading above this resistance level. Right? Let me just turn this to green first, okay? So let me just turn this to green right over here. Okay, and at this point in time, right? At this point in time, do we see a 1GT bullish signal? Not exactly, because the very last signal that we saw is actually a 1GT bearish signal right over here. But not worry, let me just turn on this trailing support once again, and let's take a look. So remember just now the previous stock that I was talking about, prices was actually inching up closer to the trailing resistance. Same thing is actually happening here for this stock. Just now was for Centurion, right? Centurion. This is for Sembcorp Industry. As you can see right over here, prices actually rebounded back up from this support level, and it's actually inching up to attempt to break above this trailing resistance. So once again, what I would suggest for this particular counter, if you are thinking to potentially enter, right, what you can do is to actually add a alert, right? To add alert, set alert. Again, same thing. One more time, we add the one good trend alert, buy or sell once per bar. And let me just type Sembcorp Industry, right? Create. So these will actually alert me if price can actually break and hold firmly above this level right over here, right? This trailing resistance, and that is when we get more confirmation that the uptrend is actually intact. And perhaps at that point in time, right, these 20 days moving average, this green line here, will also show more signs of it actually pointing back up again. And that's where we also get more confirmation that the short-term trend and the longer-term trend is actually more aligned, right? So in terms of entering this is what I will potentially monitor, right, to see if there's another confirmation by the 1GT bullish signal. Okay, so that will be a very quick one for Sembcorp Industry. I'll pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next Singapore stock.
All right, thank you so much. All right, let me go ahead to cover the next one. And let's maybe just go 2 more rounds, right? 2 more rounds so we can cover 2 times 3, and that will be like 6 more stocks. But let's just do it a little bit quicker right now. So thanks to Zee as well for covering all the stocks that we've covered so far. Later at the end, we'll do a quick run through again. But make sure, guys, you stay all the way to the end, right? Because now we're actually going through the stocks that you guys want, right? But at the end of it, right, about maybe 20 minutes time, that's where each of us will share one stock that we like, all right? And actually, I see some of the names actually asking for it as well. So if we never cover your stock, maybe it's one of the top one that we want to share at the end. So make sure you stay all the way to the end, right? If you don't know what are bonus stocks, they can put in your watch list for potentially more upside. So let me move on to the next stock by Styler. Styler, right? Good to see you here, joining us almost every Friday as well. ParkwayLife REIT, right? What is the trend going forward? Advisable to take some profits, 420, yielding about 10%. Let's find out, right? So this is ParkwayLife REIT. You can see, right? Not too bad, right? Longer term trend is up. Look at the red and the blue line, obviously still pointing up. So I think this is one of the pretty resilient REIT, right? ParkwayLife, more of like a healthcare REIT as well. And not just the long-term trend is good, but you can see that we actually had a couple of bullish signals coming out, I would say, since last year, May, right? And there we go all the way up from here until we got a bearish signal, 14% in about 5-6 months, not too bad. So when you get a bearish signal, then you want to be careful. Maybe take some profit, get out. You see, started to hit down. The green line also point down, right? But what happens? I would say in November last year, wow, we had not just 1 or 2 or 3, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bullish signals, and yes, since pushed even higher, right? From here all the way to here, about 18% upside in about 4 to 5 months, right? Not too bad, right? Are there any bearish signals coming out yet? Nope, it doesn't come out yet, right? We are still, looking pretty bullish, right? The green 20 days moving average line, it was like going up, flat a bit, up. Now I would say still maybe pointing up a little bit, right? Still okay, but you want to take note of this resistance level, Tyler, all right? That would be the very key, I would say, $4.30 level. Look at this, right? That is very key. Why? Because you can see that in September last year, when we headed to near the 430, all right, even from 420 to 430, we saw a pretty bearish candlestick. This is what we call a very bearish candlestick, something like what we call a shooting star that has a long upper shadow. That means it went all the way up, right? And it was very bullish, a very bullish candlestick day, right? But that was in the morning. But what happens in the afternoon? Sellers came back and pushed it all the way down, right? So pretty bearish candlestick. You see after that, right? We started to sell down, all right? So I'm not saying that, it will happen and sell down now, no, because we are back to this resistance at 430 that we sold down previously. We are back over here, but it seems like we are actually still trying, right, to hold near the $4.30. We're not like pushing away from it down, right? Like what we have seen previously. We're not. We're actually nearing the 430, consolidating below it, all right, and hopefully attempting to break the $4.30. So what you could do is very simple. You could set what we call some alerts at 432. Let me just do it right now. 432, 433, 434. I think, right, if we can break, like, so you can see I've set my alerts right over here, right? 432, 433. So if we were to break this 430, all right, and we go, above 430, essentially, we would even see a new bullish 1 GT signal. So I can set an alert as well for the bullish signal. So I've set a price alert, 432, 33, 34. But I can also set what we call a 1 good trend pro based on the 1 GT pro indicator, so that if there are any bullish or bearish signals, now we're looking for a bullish one now. Maybe, if a bearish one, so you want to get out, right? But if there are any buy or sell signals, bullish or bearish, I will be alerted as well. And I think, right, if we break the 130, we're still below it. Now it's about 420, right? So if we break 430, right, then we may even see a new bullish signal coming out. And that's where I think targets could be revised all the way to like 450 or maybe to $4.80. All right, so I think nothing wrong to take some profit. So back to your question, right? What's the trend going forward? I think we're still pretty bullish. Long-term trend is up. Short-term, slightly pointing up. We are capped below the $4.30 psychological resistance level. You can take some profits near 430. I said nothing wrong. You can take some profit near 425, 428, 427. Go ahead. Nothing wrong, because that's where sellers can come back, right? Which is what we're seeing over the past 1 month, right? So nothing wrong to take some profit, right? But what you want to watch out is that if we can break the 430, I think that's where positions could be increased. All right, you could probably lock in more aggressive moves to ride the upside even further. All right, so that will be for ParkwayLife REIT. Let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover the next stock.
Thanks, Joey. All right, okay, the next stock I would like to cover, I think Vio is asking, bought venture at 12.20. Is it a good time to buy, or is it good to buy for at current levels for averaging? So I think you are thinking of averaging down. Yep. Okay, so I think for venture, we are seeing a little bit of a weakness. Previously, we actually saw, prices have actually shown a little bit of an uptrend, breaking above that 12.30, 12.50 level. But I think as of now, with that 12.30 level actually giving way once again as prices dip towards that $10 level, not too good at this point. So if I were to just turn on that buy and sell signal, you can see that previously you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bearish signals, and then prices from this high have actually came down to, as of today, about 25%. Not too good, not too good. So if you are, thinking of buying, I think not just yet. We want to buy with the trend. You want to buy when it's a uptrend. The trend is your friend. You don't trade against the trend. So I think as of now, if you are looking to buy, I'm worried that it may get cheap, can become cheaper. You may see new lows. Maybe it's a temporary rebound. We do not see much strength yet, as of the moving average are still all pointing down. So I think, viewer, I think you have to have a trading plan. Have a level where you want to actually consider to stop losses as well. Of course, if prices were to break above or to head back towards that 1230 level, break above it, maybe we could see the trend stabilize and consolidate sideways, where this 1230 level would become like a new support level, or regain or retake this level as a support level. But as of right now, if I were to just turn on this, I think prices are just slightly under, or maybe even testing, I would say, the trailing resistance. So what happens if this trailing resistance is broken, or prices manage to break above this trailing resistance? There will be a 1GT bullish signal, which doesn't mean you go in and buy immediately. It's just showing that there is a rebound, there is some strength present at the moment. But I think the key level to watch out for right now would still be this 1230 level, that you want to maybe set a price alert, like Joey have mentioned previously, to let yourself know that prices have retaken that support level. Are we back to a consolidation phase, or even potentially a reversal into an uptrend? So I think for venture, just be a little bit more careful. Do not want to see more bearish signals come in. Potentially, this is live. Like Joey have mentioned. If today it breaks that trailing resistance, a 1GT bearish, a bullish signal could come out. But at the end of the day, if it's kept under that trailing resistance, then that 1GT bullish signal will of course disappear, will not be valid anymore. So I think let's just monitor if there's a reversal of the trend first. I think we'll no hurry to get back in just yet, or to buy more just yet. A very, very quick one for venture. Maybe I pass the time on to Z to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so the next stock that I'll be covering very quickly will be WeHer, right? So RL is actually asking about WeHer, whether to sell. So I'll assume that you're actually holding on to this stock now, okay? So at the start of the year, boring, but this is where we actually had some action going on. Then from October to April of 2025, this is where we start to see, some sideways consolidation happening, right? And the longer term trend has also started to flatten out. So let me just zoom in and let's take a look at the trend at this point in time, right? So as you can see, red line here started to flatten out. Blue line also gradually tapering off, right? And in terms of the shorter term trend, we do see some up and down within this consolidation phase. And at this point in time, it doesn't really seem to be pointing up that much currently, right? But we do see a 1GT bullish signal right over here. But what do we know about consolidation phase? We know that there will be a very strong support level and there will be a very strong resistance level, right? And where are those levels? Right over here. So the support level will be at about this 40 cents, right? This psychological 40 cents, because this is where we saw price being tested multiple times. One time, let me just change this to black, okay? One time, two time, three time, right over here, right? Neared it some more, but didn't really go down to the 40 cents. That would be one of the support level to take note. And in terms of the resistance level, what level are we looking at? You'll be around this 55, 56 level right over here. Number one of the signs that we see is a very long upper shadow right over here on this very day, right, 20th of October, when selling pressure came back in. Right over here, price tested it again somewhere in February of 2025. And right now, where are we at? We are actually very, very close to the resistance level once again. So RL, if you were to ask me, because I'm not too sure where you actually bought your stock, right? So you have to ask whether is it okay to sell WeHer. I would say definitely it's okay to sell WeHer. Why? Because it's near a resistance level, right? And that is where we want to potentially take some profits, especially when price is actually near a resistance level. And as you can see right over here, very quickly, I've already drawn this red color box, right? So this red color box is one of the potential zones whereby you can consider to actually take some partial profits, right? To take some money off the table, put it into your pocket first, right? So this is where you can potentially sell the stocks, right? Sell some of the stocks. For those of you who are thinking of buying, then perhaps this is the green box, is where you can potentially look to position yourself for entry, especially for, you know, things like that whereby it's actually trading in a range, right? So this would be more of like a range trading whereby you want to buy near a support. But of course, that being said, you do also want to have a stop loss plan in place, right? Slightly below the support level if prices is actually unable to hold. Okay, so that will be a very quick one for Rehe. I'll pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much, Zee. Let me move on and let's just go one more round very quickly. And I will cover maybe the next one. Let me see, right? So there's a few stocks, but I thought that this stock was actually one of the stocks in my watch list. We actually checked for VIP clients in Philips Securities, and that would be Siong, right? Siong right over here, right? So this was actually one of the stocks that came in and watched this over the past week. We sent out a note to our VIP clients in Philips Securities by WhatsApp as well. And, you know, I believe some of you are actually clients of mine in Philips Securities. Just do me a favor, guys. Just type a C in the chat if you're actually a VIP client of mine in Philips Securities, getting our daily updates and ideas by WhatsApp. This type of C for client. Let me know. I want to see how many of you. I think some of you, probably quite a lot of you, are clients of mine. Maybe some of you are also just scrolling through YouTube and Facebook as well. All right, but let me know how many of you are clients over here. This type of C for client. Let me know. All right, so we have quite a few clients. Thank you so much for the support as well. All right, Colleen, Peter, Mifi, Fiona, hi. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sabaraju, Victor as well, Chi Sing, CC. Yeah, so I mean, some of you are clients of mine in Philips Securities. You are pretty much getting our top ideas and updates by WhatsApp live daily. And you can check it out. I've actually set out on Siong, one of the stocks that we want to cover today. And this is Siong. So let me go ahead to pull out Siong right over here in terms of who is asking about it. Let me see, right? Who is asking about Siong? We have, where is it? Okay, I couldn't find a comment already. Team, just let me put out a comment, all right, for Siong. So this is one of the stocks. And so those of you who are not yet a VIP client of mine, right, you did not type C just now. What you can do, guys, is to check it out, all right? I'll just place the link in the chat, right? If you're currently trading in Singapore, I mean, if you need to buy and sell stocks, you need what we call a trading account. All right, so if you have a trading account in Singapore, you're buying stocks, whether is it Singapore market, US market, or any market, doesn't matter. But if you're not getting any ideas from your broker, like, you know, all our clients over here who are joining us and they're getting our daily updates, ideas by WhatsApp, and even Siong that I'm going to talk about in a few minutes, check it out, guys. The link is in the chat. Find out how you can get some of our top ideas by WhatsApp daily for free and no additional cost. All right, the link is right in the chat, right? Like, join many of our clients over here as well, so you can get those ideas faster than the time we take to do our, you know, ask me any stock session, and we cover it again. By then the price might have gone up a little bit as well. So check it out. If you're not getting any service from your own broker, you know, no ideas, no video, nobody send you anything, training, WhatsApp ideas, nothing, right? It's just like a hotline or something, right? Link is in the chat. Check it out so that, you know, we can get some of those ideas much faster, and we can, you know, work with you a little bit closer as well. You get some updates as well, much faster by WhatsApp, and also any questions, any issues regarding the trading account, you can just reply back by WhatsApp. All right, okay. So let's go to talk about Siong right now. So this is Siong, right? As I say, a couple of days back, we sent out a note on Siong because we actually had a bullish signal coming out. You can see, right? So we had a couple of bullish signals in July last year, another one, and it started to push all the way up from like about 145 all the way to here, about 11-12%, I would say, about 6 months. So it was quite boring actually, you know, from November all the way to April, right? Look at this, the green line that was going up, started to flatten out, right? Very boring. And then we also got a bearish signal, right? Because on that day, everything came down, right? So we got bearish signal. But a week later, we have another bullish signal coming out. And if you take a look at this green line, so the blue and the red line, very easy. I mean, the long-term trend has been up since last year, all right? But the green line, as I say, it was like flat, boring. But last week, it started to wake up, all right? And the green line, you see, started to actually point up. I mean, it's still pointing up right now, right? So we got a bullish signal plus the green 20 days moving average line is also pointing up. So not too bad. I think we have kind of broke this resistance level at about $1.70, or maybe up to $1.68 to $1.70. We have broke that resistance, right? So I think that would be kind of like a new support level. If you can draw maybe around here, 170 would be a new support. So now it's like $1.70 75 cents. Anything above 170, all right? I would say that we are still pretty bullish. We are pretty much moving on to a next higher phase. Targets could be revised, maybe all the way to 180 first. After 180, then maybe to even that 190 level. That could be, I would say, the upside, all right? Anything from 170 all the way to that $1.90. So of course we can set an alert, right? Such that if we do see bearish signal coming out, it could be here, it could be here, it could be here. I have no idea when it comes, right? But if it comes out, then we could also think about getting out. All right, if the bearish signal comes up. But right now, it hasn't come out yet. I think we look pretty bullish above $1.70 horizontal support right now. All right, so Bervyn, back to you.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, let me just cover the next stock. I think okay, here we go. So Long is asking about Keppel bought at 6.95, intend to keep for a longer term. What would be a good price to buy more? So okay, you're asking whether it's time to dollar cost average lah. Okay, so let me just throw it up on the screen. Here we have Keppel. Let me just turn this off first. Very clearly, I think you can see that so long if you're still here, there is this 1GT bullish signal that actually had came out earlier this week on the 23rd of April. But I just want to point your attention to give you some notification that the ex-dividend day is actually next Monday. So the amount is 19 cents. So don't be alarmed where you actually see prices actually, not say gap down or adjust a little bit by about 19 cents on Monday because of this ex-dividend date. All right, so okay, prices are currently just trying to push a little bit higher towards that $7 resistance level, where previously I think you had consolidated quite a few times. So this is a very key level. So this is also where you had bought the shares at as well. So very close to that $7 level. So you just want to be a bit more cautious, as prices approach this $7 level. If it's able to break through, perhaps you could see the upside extend further. I think let me just pull out a temporary support. I think right around that $6.30 level. Just change this to green for very quickly. Okay, so just by doing a simple projection right here, you could see that the next resistance could be around that 760 level if that $7 level gives way. So if I were to just turn on my trailing support and resistance right here, you could see that let me just turn off that bullish signal. I think it's blocking the trailing support. Okay, the trailing support is about that $6 level. So if you're looking to actually get in, on the dips, somewhere close or somewhere above that trailing support could potentially be where you would like to accumulate at as well. But I think your prices is very close to the resistance, so I think you are more likely to wait for a breakout. So you want to set some alerts above that $7 level to be alerted to the new high or a new support that had formed if that $7 level giveaway. So I mean, I sound like a broken recorder, but I think that $7 level would be that key level you want to watch out for. I think nothing no reason to rush in now to buy at this $6.70 level, especially with the dividend coming in on Monday. But if you are looking to get in today, like we have mentioned at the very start of this live session, if you buy today, would you be entitled to the dividends on Monday? Yes, you will still be entitled to the dividends on Monday, especially if you bought today. You must hold on Monday, and if you sell on Monday, will you be getting the dividends? You will still be able to, or you're still entitled to the dividend because it is already the dividend X date. So it's a very quick one for Keppel. I think I'll pass on to Z for the last requested stock for today.
Thanks, Bervyn. Okay, let me just share this very quickly. I saw Augustine is actually asking about ESR REITs, right? So on my screen, it's showing ESR REITs, and let's quickly run through this stock, right? Okay, so for ESR REITs, if we take a look at the trend doesn't look that great, right? Especially, if we see, past 2 years, longer term trend going down, kind of flattening out, and at this point in time, right now, does the trend look great? I don't think so lah, because the blue is above the red and above the green, and all three of them are actually pointing down. And how many 1GT bearish signal do we have at this point in time? We have 1, we have 2, and we have 3. So it just shows that currently for this particular stock, there is more weakness in this particular counter. And right over here, right? Let me just adjust this. Okay, so right over here, actually this 22 cents, right? I should change it to red, right? Because why? Previously, it was actually a support. Nothing wrong, right? It was a support. Price actually rebounded from this level in 2023, held above it, somewhere at April, somewhere in March, price actually going to test this level, very near this level, right? But rebounded back up. But subsequently, just a couple of weeks back, 7th of April, this was where price actually broke down below this 22 cents, right? 22 cents. And we also get a 1 GT bearish signal. And right now, price is actually kept below these 22 cents because subsequently the next few days later, we actually see, on this very day, price attempted to actually, want to break back above the 22 cents, right? But unable to. We are still seeing bearish signals coming out in terms of, the long rate bearish candlesticks. And right now, price is trading about 21 cents, right? So at this point in time, if anybody is thinking about buying ESR REITs, I would say perhaps not at this point in time because all signs are showing that there is weakness back into this counter, especially with the trend and especially with the 1 GT bearish signal showing at this point in time. So if prices is really, continue to not able to break above this 22 cents and continue to head downwards, right? Where can we potentially see price heading towards? I've drawn right over here this 16 cents, and the reason why I've drawn this 16 cents is if we were to scroll back, this is where the lows of the COVID were back in 2020 at this 16 cents. So if prices is unable to, like what I mentioned, is unable to break above this 22 cents, potentially we may see more weakness returning back to the 16 cents level. All right, so that will be for ESR REITs, a very quick one. And now I'll pass the time back over to Joey to actually start off our bonus stock for today.
All right, thank you so much. Finally, guys, we have covered all the stock that you guys are asking about. And now we are going to go on to the part whereby we cover, all right, one stock each that we like, all right, that you want to put in your watch list as well, that, we are potentially seeing even more upside. But before I go into that, guys, I want to go ahead to just share again all the, I would say, 18 stocks that we have covered so far. So in case you missed any of those stocks, guys, you can watch the replays on YouTube as well. Hit the subscribe button if you have not yet done so that when we go live in the future, you know when to get alerted, all right, and to join us. And also you can watch the replay easier as well, all right? So number one, we covered the first thing was the markets, right? We talked about the S&P 500 index, even the STI. And after that, we talked about the first stock that I covered it, Geo Energy, OCBC, Propnex, we have a Singtel, Seatrium, Gold, GLD, US dollar, all right? We have a Yangzijiang, Shipbuilding, right? DBS, Centurion, CNMC, Goldmine, SIA, Singapore Airlines, right? Sembcorp Industry as well, ParkwayLife, REIT, Venture, Sheng, Keppel, and Z just covered ESR REIT. That is pretty much 18 stocks that we've covered today, all right? And now we're going to take a look at the bonus stock that you guys want to put in your watch list as well. So as I said, guys, today we don't have time to share with you guys the entire strategy. So if you want to find out, right, before I talk about the bonus stock, if you want to find out about the one good trend strategy that I've been using for more than a decade now, and perhaps how you could have an indicator like what we show you, right? With a click of a button, you can turn it on and see the bullish or even bearish signals to guide you whether to get in or to get out. Attend more of those free webinars, right? Attend a free webinar. Just click on the link in the chat. I'll just place it there one final time. All right, click on the link. You'll come to this page right over here. There are no more webinars, I would say next week or next week. I think the next one would be on the 13th of May, Tuesday. So it's about 3 weeks time, right? We don't do this every other week or every other month. So check it out. The link is right in the chat. Click on it, right? How to create your stock portfolio in 2025 with my one good trend strategy. We'll cover a couple of things like, why trend trading is the strategy that you want to learn in 2025, the 2 techniques to really know when to get in and get out, and how do we actually filter out the top 1% of stocks in seconds, in less than 5 seconds, right? So now we're covering the stock that you guys want, right? But when we do our own homework, right, how do we filter out the top 1% of stocks? All right, so that's what we covered in the webinar. 13th of May, 2025. Click on the link. You'll come to this page, register, and I look forward to share with you more on the 13th of May. All right, so let's talk about the stocks right now. And the very first bonus stock I'll share with you today, that would be food Empire, right? Food Empire. In fact, I saw some of you were actually asking about Food Empire, but I did not cover it because this is actually what I'll be covering right now. So let's see, right? Food Empire. Who is asking about Food Empire? I think I saw one of the comments on Food Empire. Energized mood, right? Food Empire still good to buy. My eyes very red. Seeing it moving up so fast, but they're not, as the volume only picked up very recently. Let's find out. So that is this stock that I like to share. All right. And in fact, yes, we might watch this for a while already, but it started to wake up a bit more these few days. And let's go ahead and turn on what we call the bullish and bearish signals from the 1GT Pro indicators. Let's say on 1, 2, 3, pump. There we go. All right. So it was not always that good, right? We actually had some bearish signals in April last year. Bearish signal. There we go, all the way down. So when you see a bearish signal, just get out, take some profit, nothing wrong, right? But over the past, I would say, few months, take a look at this, right? Over the past few months, well, we got a bullish signal coming out right over here in January, went sideways a bit, another bullish signal coming out in February. There we go, all the way up. Of course, on this day, 7th April, as I say, 7th April, everything went down, all right, when Trump introduced the tariffs. Well, we got a bearish signal. Started to move sideways a bit, but this green 20 days moving average line, you can see, right, was up, up, up. It didn't really come back down, right? It was actually still sloping upwards very, very gently. So still okay, right? Even though we got a bearish signal, all right? And what happens over the past few days? Well, finally, right? We have a new bullish signal coming out on the Wednesday, 23rd of April. We got a new bullish signal coming out. And why is that so? Well, we have kind of like broken this resistance level at about the $1.40 level. Look at this, right? Last month in March, came down, we touched it, came down, pushed away from it. So we always kept below $1.40. But on Wednesday, just 2 days back, all right? Today is Friday, right? So Wednesday, 2 days back, we actually went above the 140. So not too bad. And no, we actually saw a bit of resistance at $1.50, which is actually a psychological resistance level. So actually in the morning, just now when I was like talking, about your stocks, right? It was still at 149 and 148, right? And what happens was I got alerted. I mean, you couldn't see it, but it was like blinking away. I can show you the alerts, right? Look at this right over here. F03, which is Food Empire, 153, 152, 152. And there were some alerts because we kind of like broke above the 150, right? So not too bad, right? Because I was actually expecting it to maybe consolidate below 150 for maybe a couple of days, 148, 149, 147 a bit. Then maybe next week we break the 150 and then we start pushing higher. But seems like that is already playing out. All right, targets could be revised. I would say let's go to look at where we could potentially start see targets, right? So that is the range we have consolidated. And if you kind of like project it upwards, maybe all the way up to $1.70. So that would be kind of like the near-term target for now. Let me show you, right? So 150, maybe all the way to $1.70. So not too bad. This is the stock that I want to share with you guys today. That came out into my watch list a couple of days back because we got the 1GT bullish signal. The green line has also started to from flat turn up a little bit. All right. So that would be a bit of strength as well, a bit of another confirmation. All right. And I think so far, if you can hold above 150 today, or maybe next Monday or next week, all right, then we are pretty much in the next phase or the next leg of the upside. And that's where target could be raised. All right. So that is the very first bonus stock I'll share with you. And that would be Food Empire. All right. So let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover his bonus stock that you want to put in your watch list as well. All right, Bervyn, all yours.
Thanks, Joey. Okay, so Joey shared Food Empire, which is something a little bit more defensive, but my bonus stock will be something a little bit different. It's to something is a share that help you to take advantage of the volatility in the market. So this stock would be SGX. So of course, the more volatile the market, the better the business for the exchange, right? That makes sense. So that's why as you can see, during the start of this year already, we have seen more volatile price movements, increased price action within the stock itself. So of course, this stock had rebounded, I would say, from that $11.90, $12 psychological level, headed higher. And I think just yesterday, it had finally broken above that $14 that $14 psychological level. So we are at an all-time high. So just let me change this to a green first because it is a new support. So I think this has been, the top for the past 2 days. Will it hit higher? I think some of you are also asking in the chat, will it hit higher? So where are the current targets as of now? I think the first thing we have to take a look out for is that 20 days moving average, 100 days moving average, 200 days moving average are all pointing in a direction where, or in the up direction, where it is a good sign for the stock that there is potential strength that could continue coming in. Of course, this longer term trend has been up since sometime in August of last year, and it looks to be holding, or it looks to be continuing its trend. I would draw that new resistance level close to that $15 level first, that psychological level. Let's change this to a red first. All right. Why? It is because if we just do a simple projection up here, that would bring it up to $15. We see a little bit of a sellers actually coming back in today, and even as prices attempted to open higher where it closed yesterday. So I would draw like a buy zone or a support zone close to that $14 level, maybe about 14 to 14.20 level. Maybe that would be a good level or a good range for you to actually consider to add it, or potentially add it to your portfolio as well, to buy on those dips, especially is that 20 days moving average is still pointing up. So I just want to turn on that trailing support and resistance, where you can see as prices actually broke above on the 15th of April, we have that trailing support, and that trailing support have already moved higher towards that $13 level that we have drawn for a temporary support level as well. So right now, as prices hold above that key $14 level, I think it's still a good sign if prices consolidate just within that $14 to $15 range, not pushing up almost immediately, almost mimicking that past movements where you can see where prices consolidated a little bit for about 2 to 3 months, move higher, consolidated again, move higher, and then finally breaking above a key resistance. So I'd like to see this in most counters that are in an uptrend, because that is a sign that the uptrend is a healthy one. And if it falls below those key supports, we actually have the next support, or the next firm support level, to actually hold up the prices as well. So I think SGX is one of those counters that is on many people's watch list for this year, especially where the market is a little bit more volatile. They stand to gain in that sense, or in that respect as well. All right, so there is SGX, which we have also. I think yesterday, if I recall correctly, was the day where I think Joey also sent out SGX as a note to all his clients. So if you are not a client under Joey's, definitely you will not be able to receive this note when the prices actually broke above the $14 level. So I will urge you guys, if you are not yet a client of Joey's under Phillip Securities, I think you can click on the link in the chat to actually just sign up to be a client, or apply to be a client. I think you will definitely benefit, because firstly, there is no additional cost. Means whatever you have been trading elsewhere, the same cost will apply here. You don't pay anything more. So I think that is definitely an advantage for you as well. Okay, so maybe I will pass on the time for Z to cover the last bonus stock for today. Take it away, Z.
All right. Thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so let me just share my screen right over here. Okay, so we have come to the last bonus stock of today. And yes, I know I've covered this name before. And today we are actually covering it again for a reason, right? Because in trading, right, and investing, it's not always finding something new every week, right? It's about staying with the strength, riding the trend with conviction, right? And this particular stock, ST Engineering, has continued to show strong momentum, right? And from a trend perspective, later on we will dive into it technically, right? And it's actually ticking all the boxes. So when the stock keep holding its structure, right, pushing higher, respecting the support level and the trend, finding higher support, that's not something to be ignored, right? It's something for us to follow up on, right? So that is why I'm actually bringing this stock back into the spotlight for our bonus stock today. Okay, so let's dive right into the technicals at this point in time. So over the past few weeks, I mean, of course, with the tariffs ongoing and things like that, I mean, the trend for this stock has been looking fantastic, right, since the start of the year, even in 2024 to 2025 and where we are at right now, right? So prices have, when we first cover the stock, right, as you can see right over here, the green line that I've drawn were actually the support. And the support level has consistently been going higher, and prices have been finding higher support along the way, right? I mean, of course, on the 7, 8, 9, 10 of April, this is where, the Trump suddenly talk about the tariff. Hey, I want to have tariffs on China, and then China retaliate. And this is where we actually saw a blip, like a dip in the stock, right? But subsequently, very fast, we actually see the stock rebounded, right? And actually break this $7 resistance, finding a new higher support in the Singapore stock market, right? So that's the reason why I would still think that this stock is actually very strong in terms of its uptrend and its momentum, right? So at this point in time, $7 will be the new higher support that we are actually looking at, right? So I saw some of you guys in the comment were actually asking, right? Stacy, especially Stacy is asking, is ST Engineering still attractive at this high price can buy? And then I also saw Gurmeet actually asking, actually he have this stock at $3.10. Is it a good time to sell, right? So let's talk about it, okay? So for those who are thinking of actually buying, since the uptrend is definitely still intact, where do we want to buy it? We want to buy near the support level. And the support level, the new higher support level that has been found is somewhere near this $7, right? So where would we want to potentially place our buy zones? That will be somewhere around this level right over here, right? So this would be the potential buy zones whereby we can potentially position ourselves for entry near the support level, right? Especially when we see the short term up, green up, red up, blue up, everything is pointing up, right? And what about those who are actually holding, right? Especially Gurmeet. I think Gurmeet, you have been holding for very long. You have bought at 310, right? Now it's about what, $7 over dollars. Let me just see how many percent is that. If let's say we talk about $3.10, right, somewhere around here to where we are at now, wow, that's about 137% increase in price. So you're already sitting in the green for probably a long time, right? So you're thinking, whether is it a good time to sell? That's a very, very valid question, right? But I mean, of course, now price has already risen up so much, so fast over the past 2 months. Is it okay to take some profits? I would say yes, right? And where would that be? That would potentially, you can position yourself to actually take some profits near the resistance, right? That will be somewhere around this 750 right over here. But I don't mean, to actually sell your entire position, right? Perhaps you can consider to sell 1/3, half, to actually take some profits first, right? To actually take some profits first, put the money into your pocket first, and use the balance position to continue riding the trend, especially when the longer term uptrend right over here is actually still very strong, right? Does that make sense? And then what I'm looking out for in this particular counter especially is that if price over the next couple of weeks is able to consolidate before it actually break and push even higher above the 750 level. Because like what I mentioned, right, over, just a span of 2 months, right, price has risen up so much and so fast, like almost 50% in just March to where we are at April, right? February, March to April. That's pretty fast, right? So you want the uptrend to actually be sustainable. So basically, if you want the trend to be sustainable, there has to be some sort of consolidation whereby buyers come in to support the prices, right? And that is what I'm actually looking out for as well. In terms of this, if price is able to consolidate somewhere here before it actually break even higher, that is what we are looking out for in a strong and sustainable uptrend. Okay, and if price is actually able to break above the 750, then what do we do, right? Where can we potentially position our next target at? Since price now is at an all-time high, right? So same thing, price is at all-time high, and I believe you have seen us do this a couple of times. What we do is based on the range projection, right? And if we project it up against the resistance, the next potential target that we are looking at could be around this $8 level. And $8 is actually also a psychological level that we want to take note. All right. So that will be a very, very quick analysis for ST Engineering. I hope that helps. This is definitely still in my watch list. And I'm also monitoring whether, if price is actually able to pull back a bit and still hold above this $7 psychological level. All right. So that will be for ST Engineering. I'll pass the time back over to Joey to actually close off today's session.
All right, thank you so much, Z. All right, so guys, we have covered 3 bonus stock today, and that would be like Food Empire for me. All right, Food Empire, right over here, that I've covered. Now it's like 154, starting to move up. Bervyn covered SGX, all right, and Z covered ST Engineering, one of the most, I would say, resilient stocks, right, that we've seen over the past few months as well, right? So I hope you guys can put this stock in your watch list as well, all right? And I think we have pretty much come to the end of today's session. So those of you who, we have not able to cover the stocks, right? My apologies. As I say, guys, there's more than 50, 60 over stocks, right? We managed to cover about 18 of your stocks, right? 18 of stocks. So in case we never cover your stocks, my apologies, all right? You can come in and join us maybe the next Friday as well. So today will be the Singapore market, right? The Singapore market, which have covered Singapore stocks. So next Friday will be the US market, right? AMAS, Ask Me Any Stock session, same thing, but we'll talk about the US market. So those of you who are new to this, we are kind of like alternating, all right, between Singapore and US. So today, Singapore, next Friday will be US, and then Singapore again, right? Singapore again. Okay, so pretty much we've come to the end. That is the link, guys, to join us in the next AMAS live session next Friday on the 2nd of May. All right. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. All right. So yeah, I think we have pretty much come to the end of today's session. Thank you so much for joining us today. All right. Thank you so much for joining us today. Yeah, look forward to see you in the next live session. Thank you so much. And yeah, go ahead, guys. As I say, one final call, right? If you want to find out as to how to have an indicator like this, right? Maybe I can share with you guys the 1GT Lite indicator as well, right? Kind of like the link to it's a simpler version, right? It just comes up the bullish and bearish signals. I'll just place the link in the chat again, and that is how you can have a quick opinion in seconds. All right. So the link is right in the chat. Check it out to how you can have access to this tool for free. Test drive it for free. That is in the link already. All right. So thank you so much, Jimson, as well. Thank you, Alex. Let's see. Thank you so much as well, Sunmon. All right, Esther, Victor, Marielle. Thank you as well, Lin Hing, Sir Long. All right. So hopefully we have covered all the stocks that you guys like. We look forward to see you in the next Ask Me Any Stock session. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, John. Bye. Bye, everyone. Take care. Have a good weekend.
Bye, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.